Hello, friends. In the quiet city of Seattle, there lived a young man named Ian. He worked as a computer programmer, developing software for one of the large companies in the city center. Ian was a widower. 5 years ago, his wife left him, unable to withstand the burden of his endless work. And a year later, his only daughter, Layla, died in a car accident. Now he spent most of his time locked up in his room, working, trying to forget his troubles by plunging into the digital world. One evening, browsing through a local classifieds website, he found an ad offering a used smartphone at half the price of a new one. The device looked good, and the price was tempting. So Ian decided to buy it. The next day, while having breakfast, he took out the phone to start checking it. Everything seemed to be fine. Suddenly, the clock on the wall indicated 2:47 a.m. The phone vibrated and the alarm turned on. Or maybe it wasn't an alarm because the sound was soft, distorted like a ringing bell. Startled by the unfamiliar sound, Ian almost jumped out of his skin. He tried to turn the volume down, but the sound kept coming from somewhere deep inside the phone, vibrating the entire table. Then the screen lit up and displayed an unfamiliar number with 3 digits and the name Layla. Layla. The name of his dead daughter. Ian must have stared at the phone for a few seconds until he snapped out of it. Panic surged through him. His hands began to tremble, his heart pounded against his ribs. But as if something inside him was pushing him to do so, he dialed that number. A few seconds passed before a voice answered. It was a light breathing followed by a childish, "Hello?" It sounded so familiar. Heart pounding, Ian asked, "Who's that?" A little girl's voice responded softly, "Dad, can you hear me?" The blood drained from Ian's face. It was indeed Leah Lee's voice, the voice he hadn't heard for so many years. She would always call him Dad like that when she was mad at him. In those last years of her life, Ian had often yelled at his daughter, demanding she stop playing video games. "Why aren't you outside playing like a normal child? Stop wasting your time with these consoles and gadgets. You won't achieve anything in life with them." Now, listening to that voice, Ian felt a surge of pain and remorse. He had never noticed how much his daughter resembled him. He hoped she wouldn't inherit his traits, but now it seemed his hopes had been dashed. He wanted to ask more questions, but the line went dead. When he looked at the screen, he saw that the other party had ended the call. What kind of a joke was this? Ian found himself thinking. Was it some sick prankster impersonating his dead daughter? Was it just a cruel joke someone played on him? Unable to find answers, Ian called the number back. The call went straight to voicemail. He left a message, but he knew the other party wouldn't bother to reply. The next day, he decided to visit the store where he had purchased the phone. It was a small electronics store tucked away from the bustling city center. As soon as he entered the store, the friendly smile of the elderly owner instantly put him at ease. After explaining the situation, Ian asked about the phone's previous owner. The store owner said the phone came from the liquidation of a deceased person's estate and had been turned off for months. Ian learned that the phone was left by a woman who had passed away. Her relatives brought in several boxes of stuff from the attic, including the phone. "It was lying around, so I took it, cleaned it up, and sold it." The old man shrugged. "Who would have thought it could be haunted?" he added with a wink. Ian returned home empty-handed. He understood there was no way to trace the number. Maybe it really was just a prank call. But that night at 2:47 a.m., his phone rang again. Ian picked up the call. On the screen, he saw the same number and the name Layla. Layla. Taking a deep breath, he said hello. A light breathing sound followed by a small voice. "Are you still mad at me, Dad?" Ian frowned. "I don't understand. Who's that?" "Don't you recognize me, Dad? It's me, Layla," the girl whispered. Hearing his daughter's voice again stirred up a whirlwind of emotions in Ian. He realized it wasn't a prank call. But how was that possible? 5 years had passed since his daughter's death. He remembered the day of the tragedy well. He was working in his office when the police arrived and delivered the news. They said she was gone. She had crossed the road near their house, and a passing truck knocked her down. No chance of survival. Ian rushed to the hospital. He still remembered the smell of antiseptic and the lifeless eyes of his daughter, staring blankly ahead. He recalled holding her tiny hand, so cold. The doctor said it was impossible to donate her body for research. Her injuries were too severe. They offered to deliver her to the funeral home, but he refused. He stayed with her for hours, caressing her hair, until he heard reprimands from the medical staff. He remembered his wife's scream, "You're crazy, she's dead, let go of her." Then he heard her hysterical laughter. "She's dead, she's finally dead. Now let's take a picture together. My God, she's dead. Finally we'll be alone." He remembered that scream and that laughter vividly, but why was she calling him now? Before Ian could gather his thoughts, the phone went dead again. Night after night, the same thing happened. At 2:47 a.m. the phone vibrated, and the message on the screen changed every time. Sometimes Layla would simply greet him. "Hi, Dad," she'd say. "How are you? Are you well?" Other times she would warn him, "Don't go to work tomorrow," or "Don't open that email." The messages were straightforward, yet every time Ian followed them. At first he thought it was some sort of supernatural premonition, and he should heed those messages. Layla was his daughter, after all. But then he started wondering, why was she giving him warnings instead of simply saying hello and asking about his well-being? Why did she tell him not to go to work or not to open certain emails? Was someone controlling her? Was his daughter involved in something dangerous? Did she need his help? All these questions swirled in Ian's head. He tried calling the number back, but it always went straight to voicemail. He also tried calling from different phones and numbers, but the result was the same. One day, driven by his curiosity, he spoke into the phone and asked, "Where are you? How are you talking to me?" For a long time, there was only silence. Then, as if someone was sighing heavily on the other end, a low, raspy voice responded. "I'm in a place where sounds can't reach, but you can hear me." That's all she said. After that, the line went dead again. Over time, the warnings stopped coming. Instead, every night at exactly 2:47 a.m., Layla would call and talk to her father about everyday things. She told him about her day at school, about her friends, about the boy she liked, and about the dreams she had. She told him everything as if she were still alive. Sometimes they would talk for hours. Layla would chatter nonstop, and Ian would listen patiently, occasionally asking a question. He enjoyed hearing her voice, although a part of him wondered, is this really my daughter? Could it be some cleverly programmed AI pretending to be her? Then one day the call didn't come. For a whole week, Ian anxiously awaited the nightly call, but it didn't come. Just when he began to lose hope, the phone rang again. At exactly 2:47 a.m., the screen lit up displaying Layla's name. Taking a deep breath, Ian picked up the call. "Hello," he whispered, hoping to hear his daughter's voice, but the voice that answered was different. It was a small, weak voice. "Goodbye, Dad. You're safe now." And with that, the line went dead again. The call ended. Since then, the phone has never rung again, and the shadow in the mirror has vanished. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.